In this video, we're going to be talking about how you can apply minimalism to your life in 5 easy ways. What's up, friends? Paul here, and welcome to The Beautiful Mess, where we talk about tools and tactics to improve your life. I'm your host, Paul Dittis, a YouTuber, content creator, and a minimalist who tries to live life with passion and purpose. On the way, it gets a little messy, and that's what we're here to talk about, ways that you can improve your life. And so today, we're going to be talking about minimalism. So maybe you've watched one of the documentaries with the Minimalist, and you're looking for ways to apply it to your life. And so you've come to the right place. First off, what is minimalism? Minimalism, to me, it's like you're looking for ways to simplify your life, to reduce clutter, distractions, and to focus on the things that really bring you value, the things that really bring you joy and happiness. It's not just like a box that you check off. It's a way of living. It's a way of living with intentionality, with drive. And, I think it's a great way to energize your life if you're looking for something to try to reinvigorate. Maybe you just feel like you're bogged down with the amount of clutter that you have in your life right now. This might be something that you can try to bring life to your situation. So before we dive into these 5 different ways of applying minimalism to your life, becoming a minimalist, I encourage you to hit that like button down below or hit the subscribe button, rate, review if you're listening to this podcast. Would love to have you in the messy fam. So number 1, this is probably the one that will help your wallet the most, is be a minimalist with your budget. So what do I mean to be a minimalist with your budget? So first off, do like a little bit of an audit. How many bank accounts do you own? How many credit cards do you own? Do you need that many? Is it helping you? Is it hindering you? Is it worth that extra 0.5% to have, 3 different credit cards that basically, again, it's like a 0.5% difference? Probably not, because it's a headache to have to go check all of these different accounts. You have all these different usernames. So what would life look like if you reduce the number of bank accounts, perhaps? Maybe you don't need them all. Maybe you don't need all those credit cards. That's a great way to start minimalizing, reducing the number of things that are vying for your attention. Simplicity is beautiful. So that's one way. The next is to look at your purchases. So be a minimalist with your budget by looking at where you're spending your money. Does it line up with your values? Print out maybe your like credit card statement, your bank statement, and see where money is going. Are there any surprises? Are there any like, wow, I had no idea that every single month I'm spending this on this, and I probably shouldn't, because there's things that more align with my values that I want to be spending my time and my money into. So that's a fantastic way to get started with minimalism with your budget, is look at those different bank accounts, credit cards, see where you can reduce, minimize the clutter of different accounts, and simplify. I remember when I went down from having like a couple different credit cards to having one. I had one for a long, long time. And it's beautiful to only think like, okay, when I'm going to buy something, I've got this one credit card. That's it. You don't have to think about like, oh, maybe I get an extra 5% if I use this card. No, it's that simple. I will admit that recently I did get a new credit card just for the sake of a, sign-on bonus. But I probably down the road, unless I feel like it's worth keeping, might get rid of it. So that there are cases like that where you might make a decision. Hey, life is messy, like I said. Okay, but that's number 1, is be a minimalist with your budget. And number 2, just as valuable as your money is your time, and probably more valuable, because it is one of those resources that doesn't renew. You're not going to get more of it. It's like what you have is what you have. There are ways of making your time more valuable. There's ways of making your time, increasing the enjoyment that you get out of life. There's simple ways, like there's, you can do exercise, you can read a good book, feed your mind with good things. So just like we did with the budget, create an audit with your time. Realize, where are you spending your time? Is it lined up with your values? Are you getting the things that you need to get done in a week, in a day? Or do you feel like at the end of the day, the end of the week, you're just like, where did all my time go? Why can't I, seem to get anything done that I'm supposed to get done? And so, first of all, just track your time for a little bit, just see, where you're spending it. There's different time tracking apps that you can try using. A couple that you might look at is Toggle, Toggl. The other is ClickUp. The cool thing about ClickUp is it's actually a task manager, but you can track the time that you spend on certain tasks. And it just helps you get that reality of, I'm spending way too much time every single week on this thing or this thing. I'm not necessarily the person that's going to recommend that you track how much time it takes for you to brush your teeth or, all the little minutia, but just like kind of more of a macro view. Like how are you spending your time? Is it where you want to be spending it? I think you'll learn a lot in that process. So once you get that audit done, maybe spend a week doing that just so you can get a whole week to realize like, okay, what did you want to accomplish in that week? Did you get it done? What were the things that got in your way? And what can you do in the future to avoid that? What can you reduce? What are those things that distracted you? Was it your phone? Was it the TV? Was it, playing games? Like, it could be a wealth of different things, but creating that audit will help you at least be honest about where you're spending your time, where you're spending your energy, and that'll help you make better decisions in the future. Okay. Number 3, this is one that you can see results right away. So I love that I included this one, is be a minimalist with your space or room that you use most often. So instead of going into the closet and decluttering it, I'm sure you've got one of those closets or junk drawers that are filled with stuff that you just like, I don't know why I still have this stuff, but I do. Go to the places that you are most often. Maybe it's your workspace. Maybe it's your office. You spend probably like 7-8 hours a day there. Clean off your workspace, clean off the room. I personally have that situation right now. Like, I probably should clean up some of this space up here. But what are the things that you can declutter? Maybe it's your living room. Maybe it's your fridge. I mean, hey, you go in your fridge pretty much every single day, right? Find ways to declutter those areas of your life. Be a minimalist. Realize what are the things in that room, and do they need to be there? First of all, are they adding value, or is it something that you've just kept because somebody gave it to you 10 years ago? Kind of have that reality check. It might be time to let go of that one thing. Maybe it's a big couch that you've just held on to because you just had it for forever. So next off, number 4, we're going to become digital minimalists, and we're going to start in a very practical way. We're not going to look too massive so that you get, crazy. Like, how do I organize all my files? Let's start really simple. Let's start on your desktop and your dock, because let's be real, those are the places that you go to every single day. So on your computer, on your phone, I encourage you to clean up any of the apps that you have on your home screen that you don't use or are distractions from what you should be doing. Just get rid of them, put them away. You don't necessarily have to delete them if you don't want to, but at least make them a little bit harder for you to get to. The other thing is on your computer, try to clean up your desktop. Do you need anything on it? I try to keep mine as clean as possible. Sometimes I have like screenshots or temporary documents or things that I'm actively working on for a project on that home screen, the desktop. But other than that, I like to just keep it nice and clean, minimalistic. And so that's my encouragement to you, is look at your phone, look at your desktop on your computer, and see if you can eliminate the clutter. That way, when you're looking for an application that you actually need or you use on a regular basis, it's going to be a little bit easier. Oftentimes your dock is filled with like the default applications that your computer comes with, and maybe you don't use them. So just like clear that up a little bit, and I think you'll see the benefits of having the things that you actually use right there in center. The last one, this is a step number 5 to become a minimalist. The easy ways to become a minimalist. And this last one is be a minimalist with your tasks. So yes, it's important that you don't miss anything, but oftentimes we get bogged down by this long list of, items that you need to get done. But do they really need to get done? I think it's important to write down, just like have a brain dump of all the things that you need to get done. And that way you can see it on a sheet of paper. Keep it simple. You don't have to use a fancy app. You can use just like Google Doc or a Notes app. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just get it on paper or digital. And then from there, highlight the things or star the things that are most important. That if they don't get done, there's going to be a consequence. But then also add those things, that big picture you want to get done. Like, do you want to become, a famous artist? Then you're going to have to spend time working on your craft. And you don't become that by simply going with the day-to-day tasks, the things that, those little flames that you got to put out every single day. It's like, no, if I want to become an artist, because that's really important to me in my life, I want to become an artist. You're going to have to carve out time. And this goes back to our time audit, is hopefully that will help you identify those areas in your time where you can spend, a good chunk of time on your important tasks that you have. So I encourage you to look at your to-do list and start from the big picture and then narrow in on those important things and then schedule them into your calendar if possible. Create blocks of time for those important things. We talked about it in the past about the one thing. What is that one thing, such that by doing it, everything else will become easier or unnecessary? Focus on those things, because those are going to be the domino effect. You're going to yield much better results if you can focus on those important one things instead of just being like, holy cow, I've got so many things going on right now. I don't know where to start. Start by making a brain dump of all the things. And, also keep in mind, if it's something that takes less than 3 minutes, I think they say, or 5 minutes, somewhere in that ballpark, just get it done right away. Like if it's one of those things that's just like a quick reply, it's just better to just take that action, because I think getting into that momentum will really help you getting these things done. And that's the hope of these 5 items, is that it's easy for you to implement. It's not going to be really difficult for you to get started, because getting started is kind of the most important step. Like it doesn't, sometimes we get like bogged down about like the perfect way to go about something, but often it's like, you just need to take a single step in the right direction, and it'll become easier and easier to implement these things into your life. But if you don't take that first step, you're going to be staying in the same place. And that's what we want to avoid. Consider what things that you can delegate, or perhaps you don't even need to do. It's crazy how often we have things on our to-do list every single week, even, that we don't have to do. It's a reality. That's those are the 5 things. So number 1, be a minimalist with your budget. Reduce the number of things that you're spending money on that you don't use. Audit your subscriptions, your spending at certain places. Maybe it's restaurants, maybe it's coffee. Like, see if that's where you want to be spending your money, because you should be the one deciding if it aligns with your values and living an intentional, purpose-driven life. And number 2, be a minimalist with your time. Find those areas of your life where you can reduce the distractions and focus on those things that are important to you. And then you at least have that reality to go off of. Number 3, be a minimalist with the room or space that you spend the most amount of time in. That way you can see the results right away. You're not just waiting around for like that closet to finally become, sparkling shiny, that you can actually notice it. And number 4 is be a minimalist with your desktop and dock, on your phone and on your computer. And then number 5, be a minimalist with your tasks. Prioritize. Put the things that are first, and the rest put back. I encourage you maybe schedule 1 to 3 things every single day that, as long as I get that thing done, that's the most important thing. I've heard it said before to have a highlight of the day. And so that's something that you could practice, is having one thing that, as long as you get that one thing done, life is good. We're good. Okay, friends, thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you wouldn't mind, smash that like button, rate, review, subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. I would love to have you in the Messy fam. And until next time, my friends, stay messy.